My job.
I did my part. I took pictures. We're out. I sang like 2 or 3 songs. Gave my brochure to the kids. I'm like, cool. But it was great.
Yeah, great job, Anne. Kudos to you and the Historic Downtown Woodland Group and
thank you.
all the others that pulled that off in record time.
Yeah. Thank you. We've been getting some really good feedback. Everybody was happy.
Yeah.
We got a nice message from Santa today, so he wanted me to pass on. Yeah, wanted to pass on to the elves that he appreciated them taking time to help out.
Awesome.
Oh, hi, Peggy.
We got Peggy, and we just need Mary and Robert.
Yeah, I'm going to mute myself and call them.
Oh, Mary texted and said she'll be on in just a minute or two here.
Okay. Let me maybe give Robert a call.
All right. I see Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
No, you're good.
Hey, Anna, can you send Spencer a new link?
I'll take care of that right now.
Okay.
Okay. We can start though, right? I mean, out of respect,
got a quorum, so feel free to proceed.
All right. Well, and I'll call this Special Advisory Redistricting Commission meeting to order. Anna, would you mind calling for roll call?
Yes. Bernardi?
Here.
East?
Here.
Kimball?
Here.
Moreno?
Here.
And I just spoke to Robert. He said he'll be logged on in a few minutes.
Great. Thank you for calling him. I want to make a note that the December 13th, 2021 Special Advisory Redistricting Commission meeting will be conducted pursuant to the Government Code Section 54953E, which allows the city to hold meetings via teleconference during a proclaimed state of emergency, when state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing, as we have today. Moving on, let's go to item C for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Sweet. Okay, so moving on to item D for approval of the minutes. May I have an approval?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Second by Kimball.
First by Ann, second by Mary. Thank you.
Okay, let me call the roll. Bernardi?
Aye.
East?
Aye.
Kimball?
Aye.
Moreno?
Aye.
Robert Seamus still not in. Okay. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. All right. Going to item E, outreach process and workshops. Staff, if you have any recommendations, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have any recommendations per se, but the group, I think, discussed wanting to get back together sort of mid-public outreach process, sort of share any insights on the meetings that we've held so far, which I believe have been 2 in person and 1 virtual. Attendance, as you know, somewhat expected, has been light, albeit probably unexpected to the level perceived so far. So wanted to give the group of you a chance to sort of share some different thoughts, ideas, strategies around what to do with the remaining in-person sessions that we have coming up, including one this week. So everything is on the table from, are there strategies around outreach to try to get people to show up in person, to, is there, alternative form of I guess, engagement that we could invest some resource in to get better participation, even through the website, which, Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've had 1 or 2 maps submitted, at least one of those from a commission member. So anyhow, that has not been a robust form of input so far either. So I want to talk about that. I also invited Greta Galindo, our librarian, to come and share with us some thoughts around the January session with the Teen Advisory Board. So she's teed up to engage that group to go through an exercise. So she was kind enough to agree to come and attend tonight to sort of bounce around some different ideas so that we're ready for that group in January to go through an exercise. So thought it'd be helpful to have her share with you a little bit about that group and, bounce around some ideas on how to best sort of get that group to provide some input around their communities of interest, and even share with them a little lesson in civics around, council district and whatnot. So regardless of, whether we get any meaningful feedback out of that, I think it's a great opportunity for us to, share a little civics lesson with the Teen Advisory Board. So we can talk about that as well. So other than that, really, there's no script for tonight. There's no recommendation. We're hoping to, have a free flow dialogue tonight and come out of this hopefully relatively short session this evening with renewed energy to sort of get us through the balance of the public process.
Great. Thank you, Ken, and welcome, Greta. Well, let's start with how the first couple workshops have been. I mean, I can say that we had 2 people attend in our workshop, right, Mary?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, two households. It was
2 households, yeah.
Yeah, and then including Jim Smith, who's in the Planning Commission as well. What about the first, or the virtual? What was the participation there?
We didn't have anyone from the public.
Okay.
At the virtual, no one, as Ann says, from the public showed up. And at the very first one, it was on a rainy Monday night, very similar to this. And we had, again, Jim Smith showed up, as well as one of the council members. And that was it.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think I voiced this early on, that I think one of the strategies we need to employ is to go where people already are. And so early on, I think, and Anna did a great job of putting together a list of nonprofit organizations and different service groups and, Rotaries and Eagles, all these different clubs. And I don't know, I think we just maybe lost track, although I did, of that part, is because we started scheduling the dates for these public meetings. But honestly, I think we're going to get more traction, so to speak, at least more word out and outreach. Maybe we still don't get a whole lot of maps, drawn or given in, but at least if there's more people that are involved in the process, I'm feeling that this is really an exercise in futility right now, to be honest. I didn't expect this level of non-engagement. I'm just gonna, be honest about this. So I'd like to change the course of this at this point, and I'd like to do something different. I don't really think we're gonna get much with the public meetings. I just don't. I really think we have to go to the public, and we have to find ways where they're already meeting. Lots of meetings are happening already. So why create another meeting that someone then has to come to a special place and time when it's, not in their calendar already? It's one more thing to do, especially this time of year. So I don't know if we can commit to kind of looking at that list again and maybe dividing it up, and each of us taking a certain number of groups or whatever and redoing some outreach. making some phone calls, emails, and just seeing if we can get some time on some people's agendas, or, at minimum, get them to hand out maybe some maps during the meetings and see if we can get some more people to look at them and maybe turn some in. So that's just what I was thinking of.
No, I definitely appreciate your perspective, Mary. It has been disappointing. And I don't think we're going to get much in terms of ability to do that until January, but certainly the first 3 weeks of January, it would make sense. I mean, we could do outreach now, you're having a meeting in January, can I please come?
Exactly.
But I don't think this month in particular is going to be very useful. But I agree doing something like that. I have another idea. And I think part of the problem is, people look at this map and they're just kind of dumbfounded, like, what do I do with this? In fact, I sort of felt that way, And so this is probably pretty far out there, but, would it be possible to just sort of have Daniel run mathematically, just by random mathematical districts that we could put out there, and you could say, hey, what do you think about this one? If it just goes by random choice, here we are, how does that feel to you? And by looking at the map that way, they might say, that's ridiculous. That has nothing to do with me. Why would I be in the same district with those people? And at least there's something for them to comment on and look at. And then we can say, well, then tell us where you would draw that line, But, to me, working with the MAPS program, I know it's relatively easy compared to some other things online, but and I'm an aware citizen. I'm an educated person, but for me in my life to actually go through that and go all the way through to submitting it with my mind being very clear, that's the map I want, and that's substantially better than anything else. It would take me a while to get there. And in fact, it has. I've played around with the map a little bit, and there's nothing at this point I would feel confident to sort of say, this is the best one. I know this is really good. So I think presenting them with something like, we wouldn't have to give it a stamp of approval or anything, but just sort of have some maps out there that are not the current map for people to look at and play around with.
I would go with what Peggy was saying, but I think the other thing is that I hear a lot of that it's a done deal. Why should I participate? And I think if we try to come up with some messaging around why it is important and that it's not a done deal, so to speak, and really try to engage them a little bit more, put it down to their level of, if the district changes, then your current council member you wouldn't have, how would you feel about that? Or, something along those lines, just to reassure people that it's not just a small group that's making these changes. We really need your input.
Thank you. I agree with what's been said, and I definitely agree with Mary's point. And incorporating the slideshows that Anna's created and presented at some of these workshops, they're really just 4 slides we can do at a Rotary session or Rotary meeting. I apologize, or even in an email attachment, letting people know, get the word out. Because although I agree with what Peggy mentioned about wanting to make it as simple as possible, but if they don't understand why this process is so important, and I really applaud Jim Smith's point. The city of Woodland turning into districts wasn't that long ago, and so this being the first redistricting it has to go through is an important event that we're going through here. And I think that if we go through to where the people are and are able to partner that with the list of nonprofits that, I don't know if the city already has a list of nonprofits that have some of those meetings, or I mean, I also understand it's 2 weeks till New Year's, right? And so a lot of meetings might have ended already for this year, but it still gives us enough time to work with something for the public hearings coming up.
I mean, I don't really know if we should even have Thursdays, for example, and just and focus on maybe some new strategies for January. Maybe there's still another public meeting in January, but I don't see a lot of, I mean, if we've gotten very few people total in the previous 3, 2 weeks before Christmas, I think is going to be a long shot for anyone to come. And I would hate to have the staff have to be there on a, I don't know. It's just, for me at this point, I feel like we should just re-strategize here, and at least for the December public meeting, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are about that.
I mean, I want to look to Ken towards the rules. I mean, is there anything that prohibits us from postponing this?
Well, postponing is different than canceling, right? I think I would caution the group just canceling outright this workshop, just because we haven't had anybody else attend the other ones. We've noticed it, it's been out there. We could certainly say that, due to weather, due to, COVID, health reasons, we're inclined to defer this and think about rescheduling one later in January, or combine it with one of the other ones, right? Somewhat semantics and messaging, but just, outright canceling it on short notice, I think is probably not the right approach.
I'm sorry, Ken, is there a way to do like a man on the street where we video, we ask people what is redistricting, and certain leading questions, get their feedback, and then post it on social media so people see other people participating or knowing the importance of it?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's no playbook here, right? We can come up with any creative way to sort of solicit engagement and interest. So, whether that's going to get somebody to take the next step that Mary and or Peggy are suggesting, which is actually get somebody to go in and look at this map, try to understand it, draw some lines. I think that's the challenge, is to get somebody to invest that much cognitive thought into what does this mean for me? And, so it's a lot to ask for, folks that are
who is scheduled to attend this week's workshop from the commission?
Myself and David.
Yeah.
And what day is it again?
Thursday at Pioneer High.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's fine. We can do it, but
right. I'm not suggesting it's going to have a different outcome than the other one. But,
if one of you
would be to just cancel it and get criticism, because
right, sure.
God forbid somebody did show up and
right. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is in my neighborhood. I would volunteer to go just to sit there, and I would,
drag some neighbors, Peggy.
I've tried.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a tough one for sure. It's a tough, and I do, Peggy, your points about response to maps. I mean, I think that's when you actually see people engage. It's like, whoa, oh gosh, well, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Right.
That. I mean, that's what kind of it happened at the county level, and certainly at the state level. My God, right? That's the no. It's
the county and the state level has gotten huge feedback and reaction I guess maybe we could just sort of say we're doing a great job, but because no complaints yet. But
yeah, I guess they feel like it's.
Well, you just advertise the 2 meetings in January as, you know, this will be the first opportunity to see the commission suggested maps, right? You got to show up to actually see them.
What I was thinking is I would spend the time with Daniel and like see if there's actually a way to do kind of a randomized set of maps that then we could sort of have out there for people to look at. And that's if David or Mary, you want to skip out, I would go to Pioneer on Thursday. But that would be the only reason I'd want to go, because I don't expect anyone to show up.
No, thank you, Peggy, for sure, for volunteering for that. I'm leaning myself more on the postponing it, and we could say that it just hasn't allowed for us to do much outreach and for us to better strategize. I'm with Ken on not canceling the event itself, because I don't want to give the public another reason to start, you know, going after the city of Woodland on what they think should be doing,
Especially this neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tension in Spring Lake, and so I think that we can word it, strategize. Spencer, if you can wing us with some campaign there to say, you know, this is going to be pushed on for January, happy holidays or something. But that way we can work with Daniel and strategize on making these randomized maps or different drafts, and, you know, stir the pot with people and catch their attention. Because I think what Anna has mentioned before is that there's been a lot of attention drawn to the state and county redistricting, and a lot of people don't distinguish the two. They think they're all the same, or they don't even know what our process is going on. I've got very little engagement on social media, so maybe going door to door, and I'm not okay with going door to door in this rain right now.
No.
Well,
it's true. I mean, there's so much redistricting going on. It's all at the same time. It is very overwhelming, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of got to pick your priority.
Yeah.
If you're going to engage, and it's like, well, I think my priority is going to be more at the state level, and who my assembly representative is more important to me, or whatever. So, and that's for people who are engaged. For people who are, you know, not, then this is an even bigger reach. So it's definitely a challenge when everyone's doing it at the same time. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Peggy.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to sort of state that I oppose any postponement of it or any cancellation, just because you don't know who got the notice and you don't know how they got the notice, and we run the risk of having sent out a notice. I guess the backup is you put a note on the door with the explanation, so they arrive and they don't have a meeting to attend to that they expected to attend. I realize it's a long shot chance, but I just feel like it's not the right way to do things. And I will adhere to whatever the majority decides, obviously.
Did those social media posts go out today, Spencer?
They did.
Correct. Yeah. And, you know, workshop schedule published, and if someone's really tuned in, right?
Sure.
You know, take it or leave it, published on the website, published in the, you know, initial Daily Democrat story. So the date has been floating out there. Stuff did go out today, and, you know, we don't see it in attendance, but I actually went back and looked at our, you know, first three social media sort of pushes. And a lot of people actually see these. The one on Zoom, reached about 1,500 people over multiple platforms. So a lot of people are seeing it. Of course, it doesn't seem like many people are actually attending then. So just for context, it does seem like people are vaguely tuned in. Whether or not that turns into attendance is a different issue.
Well, does the group want to even rethink after Thursday's meeting, what does the balance of the public engagement look like, right? You could frame the last 2 months and say, well, let's spend our time December, January, putting together our suggested set of maps, go out to the community in 2 meetings and say, we want your feedback on these maps. And then you take that feedback and, you know, meet amongst yourselves and come up with a final recommendation, or that may produce a different outcome based on what we've seen at the state and county level. So
I'd agree. I mean, the vague, Anna, I think, well, Anna, you had your hand up. You go ahead.
Well, I have my hand up because I did get a hold of the Chamber of Commerce, and they're going to send out this information about redistricting in the Pulse, which goes out the 15th, which is Wednesday. We also need to remember that we have a requirement for public meetings, and I think we have to have at least 4, if not more. So,
which we've already had 3. So yeah, sure. I think given that it's this week.
Public hearing. I said, you include the public hearing, that's 4 that we've had so far that count, correct? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that's fine. I mean, if we want to keep it because somebody might have seen it and somebody will show up. Okay, that's fine. But I really don't want to keep going on this track. So I really like that I think that's a great idea. And it goes back to Peggy's idea, which is just presenting some maps. I don't really like the randomized idea, quite honestly.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good idea. I think that can get a little tricky. I think it should come from what we've already learned. And yeah, and so yes, to your point, Ken, about a little re-strategy for January and February, or January's meetings and potentially February meetings of having 2 that we're presenting the maps that these are the first drafts. I don't know about the random thing. That feels a little odd to me, but
yeah, I get nervous about putting out a random map. It might confuse or unnecessarily incite, paranoia maybe. So,
yeah, no.
You get people engaged, but maybe not the right way. Yeah. But yeah.
But the idea is the right one, to get something for people to respond to.
Yeah. Right.
And it may feel more imminent at that point, whereas right now it doesn't feel like there's no reason. It doesn't feel like really to show up because still not got a map to look at and to respond to. So. And I like the January library the teen group as well, being able to add into that feedback and civics lesson. Maybe
the teens meet the first Wednesday of each month at 4, but we can do it at a different Wednesday at 4 if one of you wants to come. I thought probably a 2-part session with the teens, one on, the background and the civic lesson part of it, an overview of the mapping tool. And then we have cameras that the teens can check out. It'd be kind of cool if when they're drawing their maps, they can attach pictures of what, the borders of their neighborhoods look like to them, and then be able to kind of bring that back and put it together for what their map drawings are. So yeah, the first Wednesday of January is like right around the corner, but they're available, and I'm more than happy to get all of that together for you guys and organize it.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest I would be very interested in attending those, and maybe Peggy, if you don't mind switching with me for Thursday and doing the Pioneer one, then I would be really interested in working with the high school students, since that's what Center for Land-Based Learning does. We work with a lot of high school students, so it's something that I like. So it had be a little bit more fun for me than going to another meeting with no people. So yeah, so anyway, so that's, yeah, I think the first week of January would be great if you're willing to. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're still on break, so let me make sure that they're gonna.
Yeah, first or second week is
yeah.
I'm also available the 12th. So.
Okay, that we have a good crowd. Just a note, because I'm tuning into this topic, and I was like, while I'm sitting here, I go to the website on the meeting, and the draw a map tool, and just a technical thing. If you click on draw a map, it takes you to that login screen where you develop your password and login in the tutorial link. And so for me, that was like, I don't know if you guys could, but it was a hard stop for me because developing the password and login, I had to back out and figure out why I couldn't just draw the map link from there. So I got a little confused, even though the instructions are pretty clear, like once you've got your password and everything, I don't know. People don't read a lot of instructions. They just click on the link that says draw your map. So it's just like a technical thing maybe you want to take a look at from a user point of view.
Thanks for that feedback.
Yeah, I don't know, Danny, if we can think about optimizing that a little bit. I don't know if the text should read, start your account to draw a map, but
yeah, I mean, we only have the one login.
Another account.
Yeah, we just need the one we only have one login, so everyone's one password. They want to put it in the website, so it was more of a way to kind of hide it but still have it available. So I mean, we could maybe just make it really clear that the login is right there in the documentation. So
you have to go into the tutorial, get the login, and then back out. Yeah, that wasn't clear to me. And like I said, I'm not going to read. I don't know. People don't read a lot. They don't read the signs. And so once I got there, I was like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I kind of
yeah. Maybe we just need to make that really clear on the website that, big, bold, red exclamation mark, this, you need to get the credentials from the document.
Yeah, like part 1 and part 2.
Just to start,
somehow,
Like stop, read tutorial first or something.
Yes.
Big, bold letters.
Yeah. The reality is that Daniel is at all of our workshops to help people. If they would just come, he could walk.
That's true.
He could walk them through it all.
That's true. And I'd be happy to Zoom meet with anyone, commission, public, whoever as well. So I'm definitely available. But yeah, I definitely get your point, Rita, and Ken's, recommendation as well, that maybe we could make that just more clear on the webpage a little bit. So yeah.
So Greta, are you thinking if we did a 2-part with a teen advisory board, the first one is sort of an overview. Why are we doing this process? Why does it exist? What's Woodland's history with the process and districts? Here's what community/neighborhood of interests are. Think about what those mean to you. Here's your homework assignment. Go out over the next 2 weeks, think about, what defines your neighborhood or your community. Take pictures, draw maps, do whatever, write words down, come back 2 weeks later, and be prepared to share that with everybody. And then we're going to collectively see, if you, through a democratic process in this board, can come together with one map that you think represents everybody's community of interest.
Yep.
In the group.
You got it. Yeah.
It comes out. Okay. Cool. How many are there in the teen advisory board again?
There's about 14, 15 that regularly show up.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Sometimes there's more, but it's hit or miss. They're teenagers.
Well, if you tell them that Mary's coming, you might get.
That's
it will definitely feed them,
excite them.
We have food there. We get a better
food is really the most important thing.
Right.
Pizzas or something.
It's true.
Oh God. Mary's bringing more food. That might get it. Yeah.
Well, Greta, if you need it, I'm going to volunteer Mary to coordinate with you to sort of define what those exhibits look like that they'll be working on. And we should talk about who we will need to provide the group with the historical context and, the background on what districts are and why we're doing it. So unless Mary wants to do that, happy to hand that to you. But
I'm probably not going to be as good at that. But yeah, I'm happy to if someone else is not available. Certainly, I was just thinking that it would be nice from the map perspective. It'd be great at some point to have Daniel involved too.
Right. Yeah.
Especially if he can zoom in or whatever, like he was saying.
Okay.
I'm happy to lend a hand too. What time does this group meet?
They meet on Wednesdays at 4. It's usually the first Wednesday of the month, but they can do other times as well. Other Wednesdays.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mary and I can talk more and get this worked out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hannah's got a pretty good PowerPoint background that we've perfected now at all the workshops.
Good. Send that to me. I'll take a look.
All right. Well, you're welcome to stick around, Rita, if you want for a balance of this, but we're going to hopefully come back to where do we want to go from here with the rest of the public workshops, and do we want to set a meeting or two for the commission to start to play around collectively with the maps, or do you want to individually be assigned to, show up at a meeting a week or two from now with, here's my initial thinking around what a modification of the district map boundaries might look like? Preference? Group project or individual?
I open the floor.
I personally have not been playing around with it like Peggy has. So I'm more of a person who's going to respond, like she was saying, versus one that's going to kind of come up with it myself necessarily. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what the best next step is. We've not gotten a lot of feedback, right, to this point. So it's a little bit hard to know what the next step is.
I think from my experience, I think doing a sort of a group discussion, either led by Daniel or, mapped by Daniel, where we can ask questions, because it took me a long time to get to a couple of fundamental questions about the maps that I think are worth discussing. And I think Daniel could help answer some of my questions, and it just guide me in a little more sensible direction, because it gets pretty messy. It's like, what, after a while, why do I have all these patches all over the place? This doesn't make any sense. So, so I do, that's why, for that reason, I think kind of a group discussion and some basic, just like, here's the basic map, here's how we're doing it now. If we wanted to, look at this type of goal, or if we felt this district was too big or whatever, what are some of the things we could do to fix that? And we brainstorm and throw out some comments, but then Daniel would be there to kind of like put it into the model right away without me having to go around.
Entirely possible for us to have Danny in real time start to move lines around, and we can spit out what the analytics are, and get your reactions to that. Hopefully have everybody be comfortable enough that just because we're moving lines, right, we're just messing around to see what the outputs are. And we can, go through that exercise. I know Danny and his colleagues over there have been messing around with the mapping tool and have their own sort of maps that balance the numbers, right? And we can, even share some of those after you do your own process. Maybe with Danny, I wouldn't want to bias, any of your thinking with some of those before showing those to you. So, and then we'll bring in Tom. Tom will be there to, help guide us through some of the, demographer, thought process when we do this as well. So I think that would be productive for the group to go through. Tom, did you want to add something to that?
Yes. The one thing I was going to add to that discussion, referencing history, is at a similar point when we did the first round of maps for the original maps, it was made a point by the commission that each person on the commission would present a map of their vision of what they thought. And I, at the time, would work with each commissioner one-on-one to get a map drawn without knowing what the others were doing, so that they had points of reference to bring to that discussion when they brought it to the full committee. And it just, it gives you, this is about creating something, and the sooner you get things being created by the committee itself, the sooner you can complete the process.
Will the commission be open to setting up time with Danny to?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I
mapping
definitely
exercise?
would need help in that process. So that sounds like a really good idea to me.
I think it's a great idea because that would give us, 5 separate maps.
Right.
Maybe each of us is advocating strongly for our map. Maybe we just sort of offer it up as something to think about. I don't know how tied we would get to each map, but we would have 5 different things to look at, which presumably should be bringing up a bunch of different, issues and things that people would consider. And we'd have a variety of things to look at and possibly even present. I guess my question would be, at what point does it get to the point that the commission is sort of, I guess everything's a public record, but at what point does it shift over from something that's just a thought, a fly on the wall, versus something that's been kind of, presented, approved, recommended by the commission? And I'm a little nervous about getting to that final point in a way. First of all, we'd rather hear from the public before. And second of all, I don't feel like I know enough. I need the help from Tom and Daniel, but I just don't want it to be controversial that we've jumped the gun on coming to some final conclusion. As Anne mentioned earlier, people seem to think this is a done deal, and we're just, from my perspective, we're just exploring at this point.
Well, I think that's the benefit of if the commission were to put together 3 maps and put them out there for people to react to, right? Before you take up consideration of any final recommendations to the council. And I think that's the process that the county went through, where they put some maps out, everybody got all excited about it, and all of a sudden started paying attention.
Sure.
And then 3 maps turned into 6 maps. So I think that's just indicative of the process. So I think if you were to put out, a series of maps for public comment, and are very clear that you want feedback from the community on, the pros and cons or the preference towards any of these maps, I think you'll be fine. I'm not too worried about being perceived as getting ahead of the public. So.
We've given them a chance, haven't we?
Especially after 4 meetings of inviting them to come and unbiased by any map, right? So.
That's right.
Okay.
Very much in favor of that, finding the time to meet with Tom and Daniel individually, so that way we can have a better understanding one-on-one, rather than, as much as I enjoy having this group meeting, but I think it would create more understanding if we get to ask our questions one-on-one, and then come back in our next meeting. How much time, considering the holidays and time off, for us to come back with maps and suggestions? When would that be?
Yana, when's the next public meeting after Thursdays currently scheduled?
It's Tuesday, January 11th.
11th, okay.
That's at Norton Hall. And I don't know, I'm available. I'm fine. So think to whether it's in person or however we want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should get it done by that first week in January.
Yeah, we could schedule a Monday evening on the 3rd to have everybody sort of present their maps, talk through those, and settle on all 5, or maybe the group gravitates to 2 or 3, and those become, you know, the subject of presentation at the 11th. Think about publishing those in advance so that people
would have enough time. Yeah,
enough time to see if it's worth showing up to the meeting or not. Share their opinion.
Yeah.
And this is Jay. For the training, there might be a few options. We can do more than just training. We have a new training room that we have set up that might be useful for this type of situation where we can do one-on-one in person, and it might be a little bit easier for some of you to be in person and have a hands-on.
Yeah,
I would prefer that, honestly. I just think that's going to be more helpful for me to understand this process and have the back and forth between us.
right. Yeah, and we have oversized TV screen, so it'll be very easy to see detail rather than your small screen. So.
Nice. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
All right. Well, I don't know, Danny, is it fair to ask you to coordinate with them, or do I have Anna help coordinate setting those up?
Either way, I can, you know, email each person individually and just see what their availability is. And yeah, I could do that. I don't mind.
All right.
But I'll keep it, you know, I'll obviously pass it on to Anna just so she's in the loop of when and where we're meeting. So yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. I'll send those out in the morning.
Great.
Okay.
Great. And should we get a meeting invite out for the 3rd just to hold it?
Yeah, I think we should.
Would be good for me to hold that. That's technically our New Year's Eve, our New Year's Day holiday day, but whatever. It's fine.
So what
in the
day would
evening.
that be, Ken? On the
Sorry, Monday the 3rd at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just to circle back with the other piece that I brought up first. So the list of nonprofits and other groups, I mean, I think that this would be part of what we would get out to them, right? That there's going to be maps that will be published in early draft maps in early January to respond to, and that we have these additional public meetings to come to. But I still think it would be helpful if we could, we could at least some meetings we could ask to be a part of agendas and things like that. So I don't know what kind of list you had. I can't remember the list, if there was any contact information or not, Anna, but probably we would need to do some due diligence on that and take a look and see if we can probably find somebody to contact. But I just still think that that's really important, that yes, this is a new process with the map piece, but it still doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a whole bunch of new excitement. I still think that going to where people are and introducing them to this, these maps is probably going to get more action.
But with the maps, not an open-ended invitation to
exactly.
But
yes, exactly. But we would need to kind of start reaching out. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're not going to get on anybody's agendas in December. That's not what I'm saying. But for January agendas, like we were saying earlier.
I thought we had a list prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't find it. It was a list that I'll have to probably log into my Google account.
I think it was a Google Drive thing that you did. Yeah. And if we could just kind of send that back out, and maybe each of us could take, I don't know, 2 or 3 organizations or whatever to try to connect with by the end of the month and see if we can get on anybody's radar.
Okay, I'll send that out tomorrow.
Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
All right.
Any other
Sounds like
thoughts?
a plan.
Yeah.
A new plan.
Yeah.
That's right.
So is that okay, Peggy, if we switch for Thursday?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go over there on Thursday.
Thank you.
At 6 on Thursday at Pioneer.
No,
Correct.
it's 4 to 6.
Yeah, it's earlier.
Yeah, it's earlier.
And Anna, what room? Do we know what room it's in over there? So
It's at the Pioneer High School cafeteria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 to 6, that's right. Well, you never know. Could be a big crowd.
That's right.
5.
Hungry high school students looking for food again.
Mary, you're going to miss out on the big crowd.
I know. It's possible.
All right.
It's all right. I look forward to working with high school students.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, staff, for all that you've done. So I'll work with Peggy on this next event, and then we'll connect with Danny to schedule our individual one-on-ones. We'll CC Tom to also make sure that we get any answers to any demographics that we want to cover, and any rules. And then our next meeting will be on January 3rd, 6 p.m. Zoom.
Great.
Very good.
Thank you. Have
All
a
right,
great
thanks, everyone. Yep. You too.
rest of December.
Right.
Later. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.